Welcome to News with a View. Today is November 16th, which is a Sunday. Another rarity for me to podcast on a Sunday. But I just want to keep the motion going, the momentum on the Democrats' only hope in releasing the Epstein files. Now, the truth which the Democrats just won't adhere to is this information has been kicking around since 2008. The Democrats could have released this information up until 2024 and handed everything over to the defense or the lawyers for the alleged victims of Epstein, but didn't. But there has been enough evidence released over the past, I don't know, 2 or 3 years that would allow the prosecution of the case in civil court. What they want, the lawyers want, are people with money that might have known, so that they can assess them in part of any settlement. This isn't about justice. Justice has already been meted out. The arrest of Epstein, his ultimate death, so they say, and Maxwell in jail and convicted for her role in all of this, it's been settled. Now this is civil. These are the victims going after. And every day there's a change of story. There's more, oh yeah, now I remember this, but I didn't say it then. And the lawyers would love every piece of information so they can depose every person that's on that list. And I felt that the Democrats back when they were in power looked at this and said, release only the information that we're going to use in proving the case against Epstein and proving the case against Maxwell. And, the stuff that has the real meat on it. The tabloid stuff, keep out, because we couldn't tie any of those people to any of these other incidents. So do we want to drag everyone through the mud? And there were a lot of Democrats that would be dragged through the mud. There'd be a lot of donor money out there being dragged through the mud, and they didn't want that. So Obama could have released this information. Certainly Biden could have released this information. And I think for basically to cover themselves, they didn't. And Trump, under good conscience, said, hey, there's people in here that absolutely did nothing wrong. The FBI looked at it, nothing, just had dinner, flew to the island, did this, met over here, did this, and they're just, they'll become collateral damage because the media will just get these people and convict them by accusation and association. And I think deep down the Democrats are saying that they will fight to have this released, and the quid pro quo will be, well, we'll stop if you get off your fighting for Obama health care premium stoppage. And it might work. I don't think it will. I think in the end, they'll sit down with some very powerful people and go, you know, some of these people are no longer on in Washington. They're out of office. They're gone. But it will all start filtering down to, you know, the party. And it will end up, in the end, hurting the Democrats more than it would be helping them. But they do hold some leverage, and they can use it to try to get a quid pro quo. You know, we'll stop if you continue the Obamacare subsidies of premiums. And Trump the other day saying he's going to ask the Justice Department to look into the Democrats that are listed in there. I don't think he should, and I said this yesterday, and I said this the other day too. I don't think he should be doing that. That's not a wise move to make. You know, could they do it? But that is, in essence, weaponizing the Department of Justice. If he'd said, hey, I want every person's on that thing looked at, that hasn't been looked at. All right, you know. But again, this whole thing doesn't serve a real purpose in getting our government going, protecting our citizens, lowering the price of products. It has nothing. No substance. This is all tabloid. And the Democrats are sucking America into it. Sucking America into it. Now, Trump did say, hey, I'll release information, and he has released information. But the information is not what the Democrats were hoping for. They wanted more. It's just not going to happen right away. You have Epstein's brother screaming, you know, this is what this stuff really means. It's meaningless. Meaningless. Do you really think that the newspapers won't hunt down every person's name mentioned in there? You know, down to the people who, you know, might have catered the food on airplanes. Did you ever see anyone? Were you there? Did you know what was going on? And then they become part of it. And I just see this as a colossal waste of time. It's a distraction to the Democrats' failure from 2024, their total collapse. And they have nothing. Epstein is it. This is their last go-to trick in the bag. There has not been any substance coming from the Democrats. Nothing. You know, no Democrats screaming for, you know, better relations with Venezuela. Nothing, you know, saying Gaza. What happened with Gaza now? What has happened? Did that go away? I mean, there's stuff that the Democrats scream and yell about, and then they find something else. It's like, you know, all of a sudden they see a rolling red ball roll by and they stop and they chase the ball. What happened to Zika? Remember, we were all going to have small-headed babies. Zika. Pumped billions in there for Zika. How about monkeypox? Remember that? Remember everyone will come down with monkeypox. It's just not a gay disease. It will come into the public. Now, what happened with monkeypox? And the billions that was thrown into there? Oh, well, it was done research. Where? What happened to it? It just disappeared one day? What happened to the flu? Don't hear about the flu anymore, do you? You hear a new variant of COVID-19, but you don't hear about the flu. Why is that? Because COVID-19 was the flu. And America was lied to. The world was lied to. The flu that everyone got was very bad. It was very bad. And it was something that was developed in China. President Trump was right. We were lied to about it by Fauci, World Health Organization, the CDC, our own government. I don't trust anything out of our prior administration. I do think Trump is very open, and he says things and things he shouldn't, but he says them. I think he's very open about stuff. You know, Robert Kennedy Jr., you know, releasing information saying that all these studies and all this stuff was lies. They were lies. You were lied to. And you were lied by all the administrations, not just Democrats. All the administrations. I don't for a second believe that Epstein acted alone. I think he had absolute access to the United States government, British government, Israeli government, the Chinese government, the Russian government. He had access to them all. He just didn't become a school teacher billionaire overnight. So, this guy was an asset, and he helped a lot of people find what they were looking for. And I'm not talking about women or anything like that. I'm talking about he was a procurer. He knew how to put person A to person B, that those two people would normally not be able to connect. And he got a piece of the action and then got to report it to whoever he needed to report it to. He would not be able to do what he was doing without an understanding of that from all the parties. Because they just won't deal with him. You know, they go, hey, you know, we'd like to put person A and person B together, but if you're going to tell the Russians, or you're going to tell the Israelis, or you're going to tell the Saudis, well, that's going to screw things up. So he was very good at putting people together, collecting his little fee, and walking away. I think what did him in was he had to start doing that to stay out of trouble. There were people that he was not helping who were then interfering with things, and he had to go to the people that he had worked with and go, hey, I know, but, I'm not going to go to jail for that. So you help me out here, or I think a lot of that went on. So I'm going to keep this to about 15 or 20 minutes today and put this out. But this will be under the heading of more democratic panic. But is there an end game in what they're trying to do? Yeah. We'll stop the Epstein files from going if you find a way to keep the premiums for Obamacare subsidies intact. We'll make sure this goes away. Now, I think that's a that's a choice that's out there. I don't know if they can do that now. Jeffries is finished, and Schumer is pretty beaten up. The Democrats just tore apart these people. And, if they didn't show President Biden any love, you think they're going to show these two jokers any love? No, they're done for. Just how bad of a death do they suffer under the hands of the Democrats? All right, with that, I'm going to say thank you. And later, if anything comes up during the day on Sunday that I feel is newsworthy, I'll just leave it for tomorrow because I have been sick for the last 3 days. And I am retooling the shows down to between 15 minutes to a half hour and not going on too much. Not taking on everything in the news and throwing it out there, at least for the time being. So give to a charity if you can. Don't become a victim. Helping victims, know the charity that you're dealing with. If you're not comfortable with that, I certainly understand why you might have reservations. Give to a food bank. And give clothing to organizations that don't sell that clothing but hand it out. That's a very nice thing. Goodwill is good, and it's nice to drop things off at Goodwill. But people have to go in there and buy it. If they don't have money, how does that work? Say a prayer. Prayer works no matter what a Democrat tells you. All right, and with that, I'm going to say goodbye as I fade to black. And also, please subscribe. I need subscribers. All right, thank you. Bye.